Hi everybody, Courtney here to talk to you today about rethinking debt and home equity lines of credit and why I hate them. They're evil, y'all. The bank is not giving you money because they're not making money. And here's the deal. You cannot get out of debt by getting more debt. And so now, if you're out of debt, I still would not recommend you tie up the equity in your house in a HELOC. But let's talk about it. Let's talk about first, what is a HELOC? It's a home equity line of credit. It works a lot like a credit card. Actually, it works pretty much just like a credit card in the sense that they're giving you a line of credit that you can borrow from for a period of time, usually 10 to 15 years. And you take that amount of money out, and the minimum that you have to pay on that is usually like 1%, 1 or 2%. So your payment, if you borrowed $50,000 on a HELOC, if your credit is around 800, you're looking at about 8.9% right now as of today. If it's around 729 or between around that, you're looking at 10.43%. So anywhere from 8.9 to 10.43 with a decent credit score. And your payment on the minimum is going to cost you between I am going to close this door, $433, between $433 to $504, depending on the term of your loan. Now, the thing you need to know is the principal is due at the maturity of that, and they will redo your payment. So they'll have a new payment. They'll assess a new payment. What I want you to understand most of all is if you borrow that money and you pay it back in the time that it's due, you're going to end up paying $91,000. So before you borrow money, ask yourself or ask the people who you're borrowing it from, what will I end up paying for this if I pay it off in the allotted amount of time? And it's going to be nearly double with today's rates. So think about, if I really want that, we're looking at building a sun porch on ours. If I really want that sun porch and it's going to cost me $50,000, would I be willing to pay $91,000 for it? And the answer for me is heck no. So other options, look at your needs versus your wants. Are your needs met? Do you have shelter, clothing, food, basic health care? Can you get to your job safely, etc.? So beyond that, what are your wants? If your wants are, I want a sunroom to be able, for me, I just want a sunroom to be able to have a sunny place to sit and read, do puzzles with my grandkid, I can get that on the kitchen table. I also want my dogs to have an area to go in and out when we're not home so that we can leave more. I won't get into why that's not possible with our regular situation, but it's not. And I would like to be able to sit and enjoy our back porch. The dogs are back there right now, and it's not always comfortable. We have a beautiful back field. I'd love to be able to sit back there and look at it. It would add a lot of enjoyment to our lives. So can I get that another way? Yeah, I could put some chairs on the back deck. As a matter of fact, we're kind of thinking about revamping some things. Come with me, please, as I open this door for my little rat terrier. Yeah, we're actually thinking of some ways to kind of do some things similar that would give us the same impact. I could redo this office, and it's very sunny. I could put a little table and chairs back here to do puzzles with my grandbabies. There's all kinds of things I could do. I would give you an example. It's not a house example, but my husband and I were we were talking about buying an RV. Now we have the money available to pay cash for this, okay? We haven't been this way for long. We've only been completely debt free besides the mortgage for, oh my gosh, 6 years. And that was just one car that I had for my business that I sold and paid off. We've been mortgage free for a little over a year now. So we wanted to buy an RV, and we started talking about it and looking at them and looking at the price of them. And we were like, okay, well, we're looking at $35,000 to $40,000. How could we kind of play around with that and see if it's worth it? We could borrow Grandpa's RV. Our grandpa it's my husband's dad, but we call him Grandpa. He has an RV. We could borrow that. It's not very nice, but we could see if we liked it. I hear so many stories of people wanting to retire and do the RV life and hating it. Don't want to be that person. And then I started thinking, am I going to want to drive everywhere? I don't know. My son is in Colorado. That's like a 20-hour drive. It's a horrible drive from where we live. I don't think I do. So I started looking at other ways. I figured out I could buy a Southwest card. We own a business. We buy a lot of material for other people. We pay the material when we get paid on the job. And I'm talking anywhere from $10,000 to $30,000 a month worth of material. I can get a lot of bonus points for flying doing that. So that is one way. There are other ways that don't cost a lot of money to do that. But I started looking at cheap ways to travel, and I figured out it would take us about 10 years of traveling without an RV to equal what we would spend on an RV. So we decided that's probably not in the plan right now. The next thing is to build wealth first before you do all the things that you want to borrow the home equity line of credit for. So people don't always borrow home equity line of credit to do things to their house. They often do it to consolidate debt or to buy a vehicle or all kinds of things that, quite frankly, it's a very dangerous game when you start using equity from the money from your home, because that usually is most people's major source of wealth that they have, their net worth. When you start using that, you are gambling with your future and you're with your home. So build wealth first. How do you build wealth? Watch my past videos. You pay off debt, you invest. I would suggest index funds. I can't tell you what to do. I'm not a financial advisor. Please do not take my advice without doing your own research, I should say. You will, if your retirement isn't fully funded the way it needs to be, you're at the stage where you need to be for the age in your life, you're not debt free, don't take out more debt. Build wealth first and then use the cash that you have for whatever it is that you want to purchase. Do it in stages. Can you do what you want to do in stages? Could you do less? If you want a new kitchen, could you paint the kitchen countertops? Could you use some peel and stick tile? They have peel and stick wallpaper now that looks like bricks and all kinds of stuff, and it's really come a long way. Could you change out your hardware or your fixtures and pay for it as you go rather than completely ripping out and gutting the whole kitchen? Look at all the retro designs they have now of how to take old style kitchens and kind of revamp them and make them new. You can really do some cool stuff. So do it in stages, do a little bit at a time, and kind of start to think creatively out of the box. How can I make this work for me, and how can I pay as I go? So for the 7 years I was a single mom, well, when did I get married? About 7.5 years, I was a single mother. I was with my husband as boyfriend and girlfriend, but we did not share, we weren't married. My kids didn't have a dad at home. They had a dad, but he wasn't at home and he wasn't primary caregiver. So, and I was paying for everything. I would have to save every year to do one thing that cost like $800. My kid's shower was broken for a while. I had to save $1,100, I believe it was, to replace that shower. It took me a year. They had to shower in my bathroom for a while. So I needed to build a fence. Took me about another year to save up for a fence. So, there's all kinds of things that you can do. I just didn't upgrade anything. I lived with what I had. I had janky old cabinets that had layers and layers of paint on them. Some of it was showing through from like the 1960s. I had wooden floors that were kind of aged and discolored. I learned to enjoy the patina of that. My house was very old, and a lot of the things in it were old. And I just decided, you know what? And this was my next one, number 4, is keep it clean and well maintained. I kept my house clean. I kept my yard mowed. As a matter of fact, I paid someone to mow and weed it when I was living just me and the kids. And I did everything I could to take care of what I had and make it look nice and clean and tidy. And that made me feel better about my home. So maintain what you can Don't worry about upgrading. You don't have to have new countertops or new floors or anything like that. Just clean what you can. And if you need new floors and you can't afford them, hey, that's what they make rugs for. Or get them steam clean them yourself. Go to Walmart or wherever your grocery store, rent the steam cleaner, steam clean them, throw some rugs down, do the best you can for now until you can afford and have the money saved up to do it. And get those rugs on Marketplace and make sure they come from a no pet, no smoking home, because I have made that mistake before. Practice gratitude and contentment for what you have. Count your blessings. Look around at what you have. And I hate comparison is a thief of joy when you're comparing up. But when you realize that some people don't have a home, it's not to say, oh, yay, I'm happy they don't. Of course we're not. Of course not. But when we realize we have a home, a roof over our heads, we have food in our fridge and in our belly, and our bills are paid, that's a lot more than most people have. And goodness gracious, if your bills aren't paid or you don't have enough debt consolidation, probably using your home is a bad idea. The next one is become debt-free, mortgage-free, and then pay for those renovations in cash. So we became mortgage-free last year, and what we started doing was any extra money that we have made, we have put money in the stock market, into our index funds. We use Vanguard, Schwab, and Fidelity are good as well. Again, not a financial advisor. Please look to someone else before you make that decision, or read The Simple Path to Wealth and make that decision on your own. So we put money into our retirement account, quite a lot. We had to really make up for lost time because when we met, we both were not doing financially well at all. But I was very financially savvy. My husband now was willing to learn because he did not want to keep struggling. And we got out of debt. We saved a lot of money by working extra jobs. And first we got out of debt. Then we saved a down payment for this house. Then when we sold my house, we put the money from the sale of my house into this house. And then we didn't borrow as much as they would give us because we wanted to pay this off quickly. So we built a smaller house than we could afford to build based on bank affordability. And we didn't do everything super fancy. Like, we did nice stuff, but we didn't do fancy of anything. Everything was just like at a level above what we had before. And basically my husband lived in Deer Camp before, and I lived in a house that was built in 1940. And I had no major upgrades other than my ex-husband and I did the tile, refinished the floors. It was the same bathtub from the 40s. We did some renovations on it, but they were very inexpensive renovations. We didn't spend a lot of money, nothing major. And so we didn't get above that in this house too much, just nicer, but not fancy, okay? I don't even have a jetted bathtub, which I know for some people watching this, they're like, oh, that's fancy. But it's very common where I live, and we didn't even do that. It's just very simple. My sinks are the kind that fit on top. They're not even undermounted. My kitchen was recycled from an orthodontist that was tearing out their kitchen. So we purchased all their cabinets and their sink, and we refinished them and used them in our house. 90% of my furniture is recycled. Another one of my sink and my countertop are reclaimed. A lot of stuff in my house is reclaimed or seconds that we use. The wood on my walls is seconds. So we just made sure that as we've gone along, we've done what we call smart spending. We try to save money and then we save the excess. Now we have some money put in CDs earning about 3.5% interest. I'm going to put more money in at 5% interest. And one of those CDs, when it matures, we're going to make a decision if we want to use that money to build the sun porch on the back deck, which we're going to finish our deck out and do a little sun porch. Maybe. We're still thinking about if we want to do that. We're waiting till my husband retires next year, and we're trying to meet a certain financial goal before we do that. And that's another thing I've always done is I set goals for myself. When this happens, I'll do this. And then I've taught myself, y'all, this is the best thing I know to share with you, but the key to financial success is delayed gratification. I have taught myself delayed gratification because I set a goal and I do not lose sight of that goal. And a lot of times it's taken me 2-3 years to reach that goal. I've said this in so many videos before, but like I might say, I'm going to quit teaching night classes when I get my 1-year emergency fund, which I did. I'm going to quit teaching school after 10 years once, and I owned a vocational school. After 10 years, once I hit the amount of money I made this year in that account. I'm going to quit my day job when we pay off our house and we're mortgage free and we have a certain amount of money in the bank, which I did. That went on for 12 years. And now we're at a much better place. Your life can be drastically different in 10 years if you will employ these principles. So please don't use your home equity to get loans, especially if you're in debt. Now, remember that if you do that and you're thinking you're doing it so that if you're doing it because you don't owe a lot on your house and you have the means, just make sure that if life goes to hell in a handbasket, that you're going to be able to cover all of those expenses, because it's very important that if something happens and you can't, or make sure that your retirement fund is fully funded and ideally you're out of debt. My philosophy is no debt is good debt. Sometimes we have to have debt, but it's just better if we can be debt free. And sometimes I'm okay with getting a small car loan if we don't have the money saved up, as long as it's something we can pay off quickly. It's practical. We have enough money to make the repairs. I'm okay with a mortgage that's practical. We can pay it off early. We're not going to carry it into retirement. That's another thing. Please don't get a loan that you're going to have to carry into retirement. If you do, look at what your Social Security and retirement income is going to be, and make sure it's no more than 25% of that. Okay, I've rambled. This topic gets me all bothered, not in a good way, because I've seen so many people. I don't want to say anything negative about anybody, but someone that I love dearly had a paid off home and they kept refinancing and refinancing and refinancing until they finally lost the house in retirement because they could not afford it. And so many people have come to me over the years and have talked to me about debt consolidation or refis and things like that. And I've made those mistakes and I have never seen it work out good. So anyway, I hope that you like this video. If you find this helpful, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you for sticking around for so long. Bye-bye.